up? And welcome back to Opposites Track Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How was your life?
Going. And before we get started, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. You can also look us up by searching Opposite Pod on all the different social medias, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on everything. You can find us, and the best thing that you can do is share this with somebody else. Find our clips channel on YouTube, Opposites Attract Podcast Clips, and let people know that it's out there. Find your favorite clip and share it with them. Check out all the other stuff that we're doing. Go to SonjaRamirez.com.
Yes.
And monkeys8mushrooms.com.
Yes, all that good stuff.
All of it.
I'm going to be having a new podcast coming out called
Soul to Soul
Podcast.
Bow, 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 bow.
It'll be launching on July 7th.
July 7th. You're putting it out there.
7th.
Let's go.
Yes. Also, women's retreats. If you are looking for a retreat, it's going to be on Mother's Day weekend. So it's going to be from the 8th to the 11th, Pine Top, Arizona, Lakeside. We'll be doing paddleboarding, kayaking, breathwork, meditation, all that good stuff. So if you are looking for a new you and would like to join us or get some information, go to SonjaRamirez.com and you can find me on all my social media platforms there.
There you go. Awesome.
Yes.
Yup. We just got done watching the Super Bowl.
Yes.
The Eagles are Super Bowl champions. They beat the shit out of the Chiefs. Oh, my God. What a Super Bowl. That was insane.
Yes. Yeah.
But we just got done hanging out with some friends on the other side of town. And, yeah, it was a good time. Good time hanging out and watching the Super Bowl.
I'm excited to go to the reggae concert.
Yeah. So we haven't bought, dude, as soon as we get done with this podcast, I am buying tickets. So there is a reggae festival that is happening here in Arizona. It's Rise Up Reggae. Mm-hmm. And it's 3 days. It's 3 days of just, nonstop, just music. There's this one rapper that I just found last year. His name's Prof. And I was like super excited about his music. And then all of a sudden I find out that he's going to be at this concert. So I was like, dude, I gotta go. And him and all these other people, some of the songs that we've played here on the podcast, like the couple that we have shared, they're gonna be there at the concert. So it's gonna be fun. And
yeah, it's gonna be different because I've never attended a music festival before.
Me either.
And it's funny, and the reason why, because you hear about like these country, festivals that they have, like music festivals, but you hear about like all the shit that happens there. And it's just not something that I ever cared to be a part of, right? You hear a lot of people getting drunk, getting stupid, fights, and just all this craziness. And so I don't know if this is going to be any different,
no.
But yeah. So
no, it's not going to be that way.
Yeah. No.
And a country concert's not like that either.
There's a lot of shit that happens.
I think you're being negative.
No, I'm being realistic.
No.
The one who is that? No.
Right? Look at this.
But you hear all this, I've heard the stories from friends that go.
Just making shit up.
So
concerts are fun. Go to them.
Oh, no. I've been to plenty concerts with you. Right?
Yeah,
but
and we've had a blast all the time.
The 3-day festivals, I have not, and either have you. Right?
Yeah, but if we've had a blast at 1-day concerts, a 3-day concert with 25, 30 bands is going to be freaking a blast.
And I think everybody's going to probably be smoking pot. So you'll probably have a crowd of happy people.
So Friday, you got Dirty Heads, Wiz Khalifa, The Elevators, Prof, Brome, and then more. Saturday, you have Damian Marley, Iration, Pepper, Common Kings, and a bunch of other ones. On Sunday, you got Revolution, Soulja, Cypress Hill, Tribal Seeds, Collie Buds, and a bunch of other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only
one big shit show. It's going to be fun.
Why are you doing?
Because it's going to be that.
Why are you doing that?
It's going to be that.
It's going to be a blast.
Yes. A shit show. Blast.
Whatever. You're
What I mean by that, you're going to have all kinds of drunk people everywhere.
You're judging.
having a good time until they're not having a good time.
Dude, you're talking about, you just said that you've never been to one and you're already telling everybody what it's going to be like with zero experience. Don't listen to Sonja. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
I'm messing.
She'll tell you after the show about the time that she had.
Listen, buddy, I'm a very happy person. You should know that. Wherever I go, I bring the sunshine.
Okay. You do.
So I do.
But anyway, so it's going to be, I'm getting, right after this podcast, I'm getting tickets for me and you, for Audrey. We were talking to Joey. Like I was telling Joey, like we've taken him to a couple concerts. We took him to go see Charlie Puth and Shawn Mendes way back when he was little and Audrey was little. That was fun because Audrey was little and she was really into Shawn Mendes, but they haven't been to like a concert where they're going to enjoy, like really enjoy the music.
Right.
And Audrey is at an age where she's gonna love it.
She's super excited.
She's super excited. So we're getting her a ticket with us for 3 days to go do the whole thing. And Joey, like, he complains when we put music on sometimes, or a lot of times. Look, we'll play like a musical, but I guess that's different, right?
Yeah,
music,
that's different.
a movie, musical, whatever.
Yeah.
He like there was, what were we watching? We were watching something, and he didn't realize that it was a musical. And it was like, we're 3 songs, like 30 minutes into this movie. It's like the 5th song. And then they bust into the next song. And he's like, oh my God, another song. So I was telling him, I'm like, dude, if you really don't want to go, because the tickets aren't cheap. If you don't want to go, I don't want to buy you a ticket. Mm-hmm. But if you want this experience, I want you to have this experience. Like, I want you to have the opportunity to have this experience. So we were also talking, and maybe he'll go for a day.
Yes.
So he can still have fun with us. He doesn't have to do the whole 3 days. And he can stick it out for a day. That'll be fun.
Yeah. He will be all right.
Yeah. So, and then eventually we can take him to a rock concert or something that, he's into.
Yeah, because he is into
or
different
something.
music.
Who the hell knows, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's still building his music taste.
Yeah. So Audrey is 15 years old. Joey's 13. And you and I have noticed that there's nights where she goes to bed without telling us goodnight.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she just feels like it's a thing, like our rules to come say goodnight before we go to bed.
Yeah.
And normally we'll go tell her goodnight if she doesn't come tell us goodnight. Or sometimes we'll go to bed and be like,
did you say goodnight to her, or did she say goodnight to you? Or
right.
Yeah.
And I think it might just be the age. But either way, I wanted her to understand why why I feel that it's important, for us to say goodnight.
Yeah.
Before we go to sleep. And so we had that conversation today during breakfast. How do you feel about that? Like the importance of not going to bed angry at each other.
Well, why don't you share how you feel about it? Because you were sharing at breakfast today, like about, like what if something happens, right? And how you feel about the whole thing.
And, I never really thought about the importance on that level until, like, I lost my sister in 2007. Yeah. And I had, a pretty good relationship with her. Like, we would go visit her often, right?
Yeah.
And, I would call her on the phone. And I had a really open relationship with her, like a really good relationship with her, right? And when she passed, for me, there was no regret of not sharing my love or
how you felt
seeing her. Right. Like I felt at peace, but not everyone felt that way.
Yeah.
But even before that, like when you and I never wanted to go to sleep angry. First of all, I wouldn't sleep well. And so I don't ever remember going to bed angry at you or with you.
It's been a while.
But it's like you never know what tomorrow brings. Right? So I was sharing with her why it's important for me for us to say goodnight. And it's because you never know what tomorrow brings. Maybe one of us may not wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Or, you know, how I feel about saying good, you know, like bye. When they leave the house, like telling us, giving us a kiss bye. I'm like, because we can get into a car and never come back.
Right. Yeah.
But just getting her to understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at least for me, I don't know if I've ever I don't know if I've looked at it or thought about it that way. For me, it's just always been it's kind of like tucking the kids in, you know? Say goodnight to them, tell them that I love them at the end of the night. That's it, you know? Not really so much thinking, it's just I want them to know, right? I want them to see Dad's. It's kind of like tucking you in. Like at a certain point, you're not tucking them in anymore because they're 15 and 13. You don't tuck them in when they're 15 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
But I still feel like I say goodnight. It's like the same thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like, yeah. It isn't, for me, it's not like a last, like I have to.
It's not a have to.
It's just, I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I show it, by saying goodnight at the end of the day, you know? I mean, it's one of the last things that I see before I go to bed is I give them a hug and a kiss and say goodnight. I mean, no matter what happens in the day,
Mm-hmm.
the day can end well doing that, you know? But I don't know. Yeah.
But what if it's not that way?
What do you mean?
Like when Audrey was upset with you the other day.
But
you know what I'm saying? And it's like, regardless of how you feel right now.
Even still at the end of it's almost like it could be like a reset. Mm-hmm. Whatever it was that we might have been angry about. Or we could still be upset.
Right. And still show love.
And I still love you.
Right. Yeah.
Good night. And hopefully the next day you wake up and it's like, yeah, Dad loves me. Or I know we're going through some stuff. And no matter what, I love my daughter and my son. You know?
And with her, like that following morning, she was still upset.
Yeah.
With you. And she didn't look at you. She didn't acknowledge you. Like, good morning.
Yeah.
And she left to school.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the hell.
And that's not okay.
Yeah.
Right? But to get her to see.
You know.
Get her to understand.
This is, like you were saying, this also made me think about that. Because you were saying, like, at the end of the day, like, what if something was to happen? What if something was to happen? Mm-hmm. What if something was to happen? I leave the house and I die. Mm-hmm. And we were arguing before I left. Do you not know that I love you? Did I not know that you love me? Like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Okay. Tell that to someone who lost someone in that situation.
I understand.
And they're going to tell you something different.
I get it. But
you know what I'm saying? But I understand what you're saying.
I am different. And I know this. I am not going to dwell on that. If me and you argue and something was to happen, I'd be like, that's what happened. But look at our life. I guarantee she loved me and I loved her. And that is it.
Right. So that is you. And we have tons of listeners that are not you. So
that
you
is
can hear.
One thing that I have mentioned on this podcast is perspective. That is my perspective on it.
Yeah. And it's not a bad perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
one argument, one disagreement, one whatever,
right,
doesn't change the history of raising Audrey or Joey or being married to you. We've had plenty of disagreements and arguments, and we still love each other. The kids have been pissed off at me before, and they still love me.
Right.
That doesn't, and maybe that's something that we talk to them. Like at the end of the day, what's the bottom line?
Yeah.
We love each other. That's it. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Because at the end of the day, what would I want? Would I want you to be fucking miserable and thinking about this shit for the rest of your life?
Right.
Do you think I would want that? I would feel like shit if I knew that was happening. I would hate for that.
Right. And that's the healing process that you just described. That's the story that when I'm working with a client, that I get them to see in order for them to release and change the story.
And that's the truth. That is the truth. It's not a story. It's not whatever. It is the truth.
In some situations. Because not every relationship is like our relationship.
Well, no. But what I'm saying is that, yes, in our situation, that is the truth. But for other people, I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't know.
And these are the conversations that as adults, though, we don't think about always having with our children. Like we just live and do. And when they're young, to be able to get them to look at things in a different perspective. Like helping them to connect the dots.
Yeah.
Like, why do we ask them? What is the importance of them brushing their teeth every day or cleaning their room?
Yeah. It's part of life. It's part of growing, developing.
Self-discipline. Doing the thing that you don't want to do.
Yeah, there's a balance to everything. I mean, what were we just talking about on the way home? There was something we were talking about. That we were talking about the balance, right?
Oh, yeah.
The balance of the ego.
Yeah.
Right? But
Eating.
All
of it.
Everything. It's the yin and yang.
Yeah.
That's what it is,
Yeah.
There was something that I was listening to in the Alan Watts book, and he was like, we were talking about it last episode, about dying, and I was relating it to beating a video game and all these things. And one of the things that he was talking about in his book was how we have this relationship with death. Actually, I remember there's this big time drug dealer. His name is Rick Ross. If you guys know the rapper Rick Ross, he is named after Freeway Rick Ross, which was one of the biggest drug dealers in, I don't know exact. I think he was in Harlem. And he would bring in heroin using military planes like way back in the day, I think. But one of the things that he did, he would transport drugs through the city in hearses. That was his thing. He said because he knew that when people would see a hearse, they would look the other way. He would fucking move drugs in hearses. This dude, his fucking thinking was on a different level. And one of the things that Alan Watts was talking about in his book was the relationship that we have with death and how we don't want to think about it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't we want to avoid it at all costs. It's fucking coming like a freight train. You will not stop it. It's part of life.
Right.
And one of the things that is helpful through life and helps you appreciate life is knowing that this is coming.
Right. Yes.
That there is no way to avoid it, that you will die someday.
Right. Right.
And when you know that, guess what becomes less important? Fucking everything. Nothing matters except for what? You, them, our pets, the people we love. You think my fucking credit cards matter? I don't give a fuck. You think my job matters? I don't give a fuck. None of it matters.
Yeah. Was that the portion that he shared how we should, or was I listening to something else? How we should celebrate death?
Yeah.
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 That there, 100%.
Like I said, you beat the game. You beat the game. Celebrate it. One thing that I thought, like I shared, I made a clip actually. If you guys want to go check it out, share it with somebody else, find our clips channel. And I made the clip about like beating the game. One thing that I was thinking is that when you beat the game.
What does that mean, by the way? What is beating the game? What are you talking about?
The game's over.
What is the game? What are you referring to as
life?
The game?
You're dying. You're dead. You're dying.
Okay.
You're dying. You're watching the credits and you are about to die. Your life, you know, is ending. Right? At the end of the day, you beat the game and then you're like, what's next? Is there a part 2 to this game? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe in some ways there is, but you just don't know. You know? I don't know.
When he was talking about celebrating death.
Life. And death.
Yes. You know, we had just come back from my aunt and my uncle's funeral. And they lived their lives. I mean, she was 80.
Yeah, I think they said she was 83. Something like that.
83. And my Theo was 6 years younger than her. Or 10 years younger than her. And they died, I thought it was a few weeks, but it was actually a month apart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a month apart. And they lived a pretty full life. So to celebrate them, to celebrate their love, to celebrate them, oh my God. All the grandchildren that they had. I mean, it was insane.
You know, I wonder if anybody like contemplated like that we were all there because of them. You know, like really the whole fucking everybody being together was because of them.
And I did. Right? I was talking to Marcy about it, my cousin, and having her, I'm like, look around. Just take a look.
You know, and that's something to be happy about, not sad.
Yes. And then I thought about, well, what if they were 5 years old? What about the ones that don't have a full life?
Yeah.
How can you celebrate that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just looking at it like
in a different way.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's tougher. That's different.
You know?
It's just different. It's a different situation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's it's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. It is what it is. That's life. I mean, on a different topic, like we're watching this show, American Primeval on Netflix. and the fucking shit that people did to settle this country. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
The things that happened and the things that people did. And the craziest thing is that, I mean, we were talking about the biblical times and those times back then when this country was being settled. Like there were people that really did see life. I don't know how you want to say it, the right way or the correct way or whatever, but they understood life, what life was. And if you get it, you get it. I don't think it's different in any time period. Like it could have been 3,000 years ago. If you get it, you got it. Mm-hmm. And if it's now and if you get it, you got it. But man, like everybody was killing everybody.
Yes.
And it's crazy because you can see how and why the things were the way they were. Like you can see why people were so ruthless. Like, I mean, I told you, if this was my land and these were my people and people were trying to take over my land, guess what? I'm going to be the baddest motherfucker ever. Like I am going to try to kill and destroy anybody that steps foot on my land to protect my people.
Yeah. It's a crazy
It is
show
not going to be pretty.
because you have everyone against everyone.
And the thing is that in order to protect your people, this is the side of love that people don't like, that people don't want to think about. Mm-hmm. But the things that you might have to do, like look up the show. There's this guy, Red Feather, and he's protecting his people or whatever. And he's pretty much telling his mom, like, he's dressed in war paint and he's ready to go and he's ready to kill at any moment. And he is ruthless. Mm-hmm. The thing is that the sweetest person in his tribe has no clue, probably, his capability of savagery, of ruthlessness, and what he is willing to do.
Which is his mother.
Because he would probably cut somebody's head off, put it on a spike, and put it in the ground to show them, you step foot on my people's land and I will cut your head off too. Is there anything wrong with that?
Yeah.
That's love, right?
That's love.
That's fucking crazy.
Because you have the Mormons. It's nuts. You have the Mormons.
Right?
Oh my God. Killing. You have the natives really protecting, right? Like they're protecting their family, but they're known as
savages.
And then you have
uncivilized and all that.
And then you have the government. I mean,
yeah.
It's just, it's insane.
And none of this is taught in our history books.
Yeah.
Not really. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Look it up. American Primeval on Netflix. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. Yeah, it's just mind-blowing.
But another thing that we were talking about back in biblical times, it's very similar. I mean, people were killing each other nonstop, taking over territories and yeah. But throughout all these times, you have people that do see life in a certain way. And it's tough because I feel like I understand life that way, but I also understand the other side of it. And it's great. Like one time that I really thought it's a scary, it's actually a scary thought, but COVID was that. Because COVID was a time where shelves were starting to get empty in the grocery stores. Mm-hmm. Like, what happens if we don't have food to eat? What do we do? What do I have to do to feed my family? These are not pretty thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you and we went to go buy ammo.
Yeah. And that it was a very similar thought to like the natives. Like if something was to happen and people start coming and trying to take, like, I will kill anybody that comes in this house. Like that was 100% my thought.
And with that, those are the things that though you were feeling, you weren't really expressing what you were thinking and what you were going through internally, maybe to protect me from fearing,
worrying.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just, if you're in that position, I think that's what you do. That is your job.
And because of you, I didn't have those fears. I mean, I could see what was happening, right?
Yeah.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
We had friends that lost businesses. We had friends that lost
family. Yeah.
Family. I mean, it was.
But in the very beginning, before we really knew much about this thing, like I'm talking about like the first month or two.
Mm-hmm.
The first month or two, the things that people were thinking were fucking crazy. They really were. Like, I don't know if you guys out there listening remember back to the first couple months of being locked down. The thoughts that were going through people's, like people, I don't know if you thought this, but I really, at some point, I was like, are we ever going to be, like, are we going to see people aside from each other?
Mm. You know, I think that because of the business that I opened, like it was just a year before that happened, I was out and about. Do you remember?
Yeah.
You were home.
Yeah, working from home.
But you
were out doing signings.
I was moving during that time.
But at that time, it was like people were like scurrying here and there.
Right.
It wasn't like you were out doing shit. You fucking scurry over there and head back. Scurry over there and come back. Go to the store, come back.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like you go out and do shit. You just stay in your house.
Yeah. But I was connecting with people still. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean.
In a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I experienced COVID a bit different than you.
But I think you're also not thinking, like, you're far enough removed from COVID because I don't think it was that way in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
In the very beginning, nobody knew. And
right.
and I don't know if you were signing and doing all that right, like day one COVID and you're out in the streets. No. Because nobody knew what the hell this was. They thought you breathe on somebody and they're going to die.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it took a little bit before people started going back out and doing things. But in that time when we were locked down and not knowing anything, just knowing that people are dying and there's this thing spreading, the thoughts were crazy.
Yeah. And I think that's the first time we, obviously, experienced something like that together.
Oh, I mean, I don't think anybody's been through something like that. That there hasn't been anything like that. I mean, the closest thing to something I think is probably like 9/11. And that was a different type of thing, but it was another one of those like world shifting moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How we got on that. Well, we were talking about the show. But yeah. And within that time, there was a lot of, wow. Yeah, because the kids weren't going to school. It was nuts. I haven't really thought about it in a while. And those are the things that we forget. Remember you were saying, like, what was that's one, and then the other thing that happened with what's that gentleman or that dude who had an island and
Epstein?
yeah, like that disappeared. It was a thing and then it disappeared. Like people forget.
Oh yeah, like how we forget fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like move on to the next thing. Right.
Yeah. You know what's one thing that also didn't help, dude? When I think about like the kids, this generation, there was something that I can't remember what I was watching, but something I was watching, they were talking about the kids of this generation, like our kids, and that they're calling them like the anxiety generation.
I've
like
heard
kids today, like you got millennials or whatever, but like the kids that are growing up today are like the anxiety generation because they're just fucking filled with this. And what was it? I can't remember what book I was listening to, but there's like this, there's something, it does something to you. Kind of like growing up in the hood. Like if you grow up in the hood, it can be tough. But there's time, like depending on how your life is, there could just be like this low grade. It's just like a constant anxiety that just hangs over your head all the time because shit could happen at any moment. It's just this anxiety. And then when you look at kids today, it's almost like we've done it to them. Not we've done it to them, but society, the world has them in that state with all the things that we have now.
Well, yeah.
With technology, with all, because the technology gives them a low grade anxiety all the time. I mean, think like adults have low grade anxiety all the time. Think about the things that you're scrolling through on Instagram and you're watching fucking Biden fall asleep and you're watching Trump do this, and regardless of whatever side you're on, you're looking and scrolling and it's like, oh fuck, oh that's this, and the world is this, and it's just an anxiety, and then you turn it off and you go on about your day, but that shit is just it's just this little,
it's all the shit that you have to process,
and you have to consciously, I mean, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist,
right,
but you have to consciously be like, what is important? I'm gonna die one day. Guess what doesn't fucking matter when I die? COVID. None of this shit that gives you that low grade anxiety, none of it matters.
Right.
What matters is the sunshine. What matters is watching the hummingbirds. What matters is the conversations that I have with my friends and the hugs and all of that stuff.
Right. Yeah. I don't understand how some people, my mom does this. I'm going to call you out right now.
Uh-oh.
Have the news turned on the entire day. Like just, that's first thing they do when they wake up, news. Before they go to bed, news. And then they wonder why they're unhappy or they're full of anxiety or they're worrying.
Yeah.
Because regardless, you turn the TV off, it's just like what you just said. You're having to process this. Everything that you take in, every book you read, all the information that you take in.
Yeah.
All the things. And I was talking to my friend Joyce from Germany. Love her. And, you know, it's like, I hear these books, you know, people are talking about certain books and I'm like, ooh, I want to read that. Ooh, I want to read that book. Ooh, I want to read that book. It's like, do you?
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have to be careful with the information that you take in and how you read it.
Yeah.
Because every book is written in that author's perspective.
Right.
So now it's like, for me, being aware of what I'm taking in and how I read it.
Right. Knowing
even,
yeah.
You know, and teaching this to the kids. Oh my God. The books, their history books, the shit they're learning today.
Yeah. It's only one part of it.
Right.
One part of many.
Yes. You know, I think it was Elijah that I was talking to. You know, the Bible. You know, I used to read the Bible as if
It was a
every
history book.
word, yes, right? And so, and some people read it as that, and that's fine for them. So I started reading like the New Testament, but taking in the information, looking at the information, not as fact, but just taking in the information, digesting the information. As any other book that I would read. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I know it's not probably a popular opinion, but I just see it as people doing the best they could with what they had. And maybe people messed with the books a little bit because that's what people do. I don't know. But like you said, there's some things in the book that are incredible. Lessons that are excellent. And there's some things that I don't agree with. Some people are not okay with that. And that's okay with me. I'm okay thinking for myself and believing for myself. But I feel that people did the best they could with what they had. I mean, one thing that I always tell you is that the book was written 3,000 years ago. Some things in history, like people always talk about, history repeats itself. That is true in many ways. But one thing that I have also noticed is that history accumulates. Like it compounds. Not like there are instances kind of like technology. You can't say like history repeats itself. No, technology advances, and it advances faster and faster every year. Same thing goes with our understanding of the planet, of life, of the world that we live in, of people, of human nature. We're still learning how things work. I mean, just look around. We learn stuff every day about people, about the brain, about everything, human nature, psychology, everything. So we can't act like, if you look at what they were doing back then, they were we're murdering each other today. But back then it was like the people in power, brothers killing fathers, sisters killing brothers, husbands, moms, dads for power. We can't act like they had it all together back then. And like I said, some people did. Some people knew. There's always these people throughout history that they're like, you know what? Because the thing is that when you break it all down to the simplest things, what is important? These people that look at like, I'm going to die one day. What matters? What matters? The same thing matters 3,000 years ago as what matters today. That doesn't change.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up? Why are you smiling?
It's just life.
Life what?
It's it's funny. Like when you look at it, you know, when you look at all the shit that we think about, that we create, just everything.
The stories.
All of it.
It's all man-made.
It's hilarious. It's funny. And when you realize how simple it is and how we complicate things, and you start to really sit back and look, like really pay attention, it's really funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah. You want? I shared this with you, but I want to share an example that kind of shows one of just the man-made things, and it's big.
Mm-hmm.
But not to get political or anything, but I will. I was talking to one of my friends, and he was telling me that the president signed this executive order about birthright citizenship, where people, you can't just be like land in the United States and have a kid here and then your kid is a citizen. Like that doesn't work in any other country, where like if you're somebody that comes across the border and you happen to be pregnant and you have a kid in the US and now they're an American citizen and they have all the rights that Americans have, and now their parents can come over or whatever, they get, I don't know, whatever the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from all of that stuff, I was talking to my friend about this, and I was like, I was born in New York. So in the Northeast United States, in New York. When I was 16, I moved to Florida with my mom, down south. Like in other parts of the world, like that's a different country, different continent. That's how far away it is, right? Then I joined the military and I moved to Arizona on the other side of the country. And we are here now. And if we felt like it, we could go wherever the hell we want. It could be Texas. We could move to Wyoming. We could go to Idaho, anywhere. And there is no questions asked. We just go. But if we came up to the Mexican border and we wanted to live 10 feet south of that Mexican border and say, I want to live here in the desert, can't do that. Why? Who put this line in the sand and divided this piece of ground, this earth? Why can't I move to Europe and build a house there and live there? I mean, I get it. Like I was talking to my friend, like we can't act like we don't live in these societies and these things, but understand that these are all made up. Yes, we play by these rules, but understand that these are all made up. And when you know that they're all made up, we're not any different. They're not Mexican. They're just people that they happen to call Mexicans. They're not Canadian. They're just people that are up north that we happen to call Canadians. They're fucking Canadians because they're fucking 5 feet on the other side of the border. What the hell makes them different from the people in Wisconsin and Montana and Washington?
Yeah.
They're different.
We're one of the same.
You know, so.
But that's what makes us look at each other as if we are not one of the same.
Yeah. You know, but it's a slippery slope and it's tough. It's complicated. Because you do have to have some type of rules. You got to have empathy, though. You know, like you got to protect your place. You got to protect your house. But you got to have empathy, too. You know, like it is complicated. Because and you know what? I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer.
Right. You know, earlier you and I were having a talk, and when I used to, during COVID, when all this was happening, and during that time I was very religious, and you were down my throat, you know, just like sending me videos and all these things.
What?
No.
What?
You
talking about like porn videos? What are you talking about? What are you?
Because I just said because you were down my throat,
Oh,
and you just
you
made
gotta
a face.
you gotta learn how to freaking work the sound effects.
I made it.
Splat. Those of you that have listened long enough, you know the sound effects.
Oh my gosh. And anyways, shit, what was my train of thought?
Back in COVID, you were very religious, and I was
down my throat.
That was down your throat.
Just sending me all these videos trying to wake, he was trying to wake me up, all from love, just like, oh my gosh, she's being brainwashed and blah, 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 whatever. Right. And, shit, I was going to talk about something. What were we talking about before this?
Like how people aren't different, how we're all the same.
Oh my goodness. Man.
No Nintendo. No remember.
It'll
okay.
come up.
But yeah. What was it? Friday, a couple days ago. Today's Sunday, Super Bowl. We just watched it. But a couple days ago, I was working from home and I had some ladies come and knock on the door.
Some ladies.
They have some books. And they want to share with me. That's what happens, but people get annoyed when people come like preaching at their door sometimes or whatever. And I used to, and not really annoyed, but it's like, I ain't got fucking time for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have time to be sitting here and fucking talk. Like, you guys get out of here. I got shit to do.
Yeah.
But I've taken like a different
approach.
Approach and perspective on it. Like one thing that I remember is we had there was one time that one of our nephews was like atheist. Mm-hmm. And like atheist. And I don't want to hear shit and you guys are fucking dumb and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember talking to him and being like, I understand how you feel. Like, I understand what you think because I got a lot of questions. And back then, I didn't feel the way I feel today. But I still had a lot of questions and I was still like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I did know is that what these people were doing was from sincerity. Like, they felt that this is how things are. Mm-hmm. They believe this 100%. Mm-hmm. And all they were trying to do is help me out because they believe that something bad's going to happen to me.
Right.
And I can appreciate that, even though I don't believe. And that changed my perspective on things. And I think he kind of helped me change my perspective on things because I kind of felt the way he did. But at the same time, I didn't want to be that way with people. Mm-hmm. And when I really looked at it, I'm like, they're just trying to save me. Really? Like, that's what they tell me. Like, they just want to save me. Like, I don't want you to burn in hell. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, thanks. Thanks for not wanting me to burn in hell. I appreciate it. Guess what? I don't believe in that. Which, that's fine. Mm-hmm. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I understand why you do this. Mm-hmm. So when these ladies came over, we just talked about it. Mm-hmm. And one thing that we ended our conversation with was that if somebody is saved, that means that somebody has to be condemned. Mm-hmm. If you get to go to heaven, where does everybody else go? And I don't believe that.
Yeah. What I was going to share earlier is that the discussion that we were having upstairs, that we can't save the world. But we can be I don't remember exactly how I told you, but like be the example. To love people where they are. accept people where they are. And by leading, and this is what I'm seeing for myself, like being who I am, which I am love, and being that everywhere I go, people will start to get curious. And when that occurs, questions will come, and that's when I get to share where this love comes from.
Yeah.
And, you know, the word God can be a trigger for some. And though the way, like the word God, the way I use the word God is not this religious God. There's a man upstairs looking down. It's more the things that can't be explained. Right? Like there's just some things that just can't be explained. And you were sharing that like the word God or is what has caused a lot of division. There's been a lot of killing, a lot of wrath because of it. And I understand that. And so after that conversation, it's like for me to be just aware of the messages that I share. Because of that, like not adding more to it.
Yeah. And
you know?
And for a lot of people, it's hard not to add a little more to it.
And for me, it's because it's been my way. That's the language I've been using for a long time. And habits are hard to break. And I know that I am here. I feel that I am here to help people to wake up, to see that everything that they've been looking for is within them. And that is going to make some people very uncomfortable when I start speaking and sharing that.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. But because of my language, it can be confusing. People would be like, wait, so what? Wait a minute. Is she Christian? I mean, she wears a cross around her neck. But then the other day she was wearing a Buddha necklace. And then she was wearing like a tree of life neck. You know what I'm saying? It's like.
And I've told you before, like, I think there's these people throughout history that are incredible, that they got it. They knew it. And people did people shit when we idolize. Just look at what people do. That's one of the best things that we do. I mean, not best things, but it's one of the things that we're good at is idolizing others.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just, I think, like, I have a Bible upstairs, the Jefferson Bible, which is only what Jesus taught, with everything supernatural taken out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told you before that I think Jesus was great. It's crazy to freaking talk like that. You know what I mean? Like, when the rest of the world is like, you think Jesus was great? Fucking Jesus is God, not great. You know what I mean? But I think he was an incredible person that got it. Like, really did. And he was trying to teach people this, like, death is coming. This is what is important. Be good to people. Love people. Because at the end of the day, when you die, this is what matters.
Right.
Who you were as a person, not the shit that you accumulated, not the fucking accomplishments that you had or whatever. Did you do the things that you wanted to do? Did you get it? Did you express yourself in your life? Did you fucking get it out? And did you love the people around you? Did you enjoy yourself? Did you enjoy this? Did you fucking beat the game? Right? And but because of everything that turned into, and because it became such an emotional and something that just became so embedded with belief and religion and society and all of this stuff, that as great as he was, like, I would love for people to just know who he was as he was. But because this thing is so damn complicated now, I feel we have to detach from everything. We cannot point to anyone.
You mean all enlightened
any idolization of anything and anyone. This is it. You are it. This is life. You know, like, it's just so complicated now that you have to detach from it because it's caused too much problems.
And I don't see that. Not in this lifetime.
Yeah, I don't either.
Happening.
I don't either. It's gotten too far.
So just be.
Right.
Just love.
Yeah.
And be the example. Because the only person that you can control is you.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, like, really think about it. What is going to be important?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes, yes.
And with that, thank you guys for being with us again. And
thank you for...
Yeah. Do your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support.
Before you get out of here, go to SonjaRamirez.com. Check out whatever she's got going on there with the retreats, with the new podcast that's going to be coming out in the future. That'll be coming out in July. We're excited for that. Go to Monkeys 8 Mushrooms, Monkeys, the number 8 mushrooms.com to check out the t-shirt that I designed and that I have posted. Also, you can check out Monkeys 8 Mushrooms, the ATE. I own both the websites, and I'm going to post a different shirt on there. So I'll have two different shirts, one on Monkeys number 8 mushrooms.com and Monkeys ATE Mushrooms. It'll be two different ones. The other one is going to be one that my brother designed, which I'm excited to put up. But yeah, one of the other things is that this music festival is I'm going to go, and that's a perfect place to be, you know, pushing the merch and the mushroom t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, check it out. And they're
not the mushrooms,
not the mushroom t-shirts. I said, but get them while you can, because I don't know what the heck this thing is going to turn into. It's going to be something, but for now it's t-shirts. And once I start getting new designs and switching things out, who knows if they'll be back, or you might have to wait a while to get the one that's up there now. And
Yes. And do all your Valentine's shopping
through our website. Go to oppositesattractpodcast.com, click on the support the show link, click on the Amazon link, and buy through there. Anything that you purchase will help us out.
Yes. So again, thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract Podcast.
Where we get better
together.
Bye.